Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something called logotherapy. It's a powerful psychological approach that was quite literally forged in the fires of unimaginable suffering. It's really a story about how we find purpose when all hope seems to be gone, and it all starts with one man who lived through it. Let's just kick things off with this incredible idea from Viktor Frankl himself. Now, this wasn't just some nice philosophy he dreamed up. This was a truth he discovered in the most extreme conditions imaginable. It's the absolute heart of logotherapy. No matter what's happening to you on the outside, you always have this inner space of freedom. So that leads to this huge question, right? A question Frankl had to face not as some abstract thought experiment, but as his day-to-day reality. When you've been stripped of everything, when suffering is all you know, how on earth can life have any meaning? His answer, born directly from that experience, would go on to create an entirely new school of thought in psychology. To really truly get what this series is about, we've got to understand the man first. We have to look at the horrific crucible, really, that tested and, in the end, proved his ideas about what it means to be human. I mean, just look at this contrast. Before the war, you've got Dr. Viktor Frankl. He was the head of neurology at a major hospital in Vienna, a respected professional, an author, a husband, a son. Then, the camps. All of that was just erased. He became prisoner 1119-104. He lost pretty much everyone, his wife, his parents, his brother, and was plunged into what he called a naked existence. So for 3 long years, Frankl was moved between 4 different concentration camps. And in the middle of all that brutality, he started to notice something. He made this critical observation. The people who survived, they often weren't the ones who were the most physically tough. They were the ones who held onto a reason to live, a person they had to see again, a project they needed to finish. They had a why that helped them bear almost any hat. And you know, this wasn't just some random observation. For him, it was this dramatic, terrible confirmation of a theory he had already been working on for years. This one single insight became the absolute bedrock for his entire approach to therapy. Now, what's so interesting here is how Frankl's work fits in with the other giants of his time. He wasn't just tweaking their ideas. He was proposing something completely different. You had Freud, who said we're driven by a search for pleasure. Then Adler came along and said, no, it's about the search for power. Frankl looked at both and said, you're both missing the most fundamental drive of all, the will to meaning. And he gave his approach a name, logotherapy. That word, logos, it's Greek from meaning. So logotherapy is, quite literally, healing through meaning. The core idea is that our deepest drive as human beings is to find a purpose, and fulfilling that purpose is the key to being psychologically healthy. So what happens when that search for meaning gets blocked? What happens when you feel like your life is pointless? Frankl had a term for that too, the existential vacuum. He saw it as this huge problem in modern life, this feeling of inner emptiness that he believed was the real root of so many issues like depression, addiction, and even aggression. Okay, so this is the crucial question then. If this search for meaning is so important, where do we actually find it? Especially when we're up against suffering that we just can't avoid. Well, Frankl didn't just leave it as some vague idea. He actually laid out a concrete map. He said we can discover meaning in our lives in 3 main ways. He called them creative, experiential, and attitudinal values. And what's absolutely remarkable is that he saw people finding meaning through all 3 of these paths, even in the unimaginable conditions of the camps. So first up, creative values. This is all about finding meaning in what you give to the world, by creating something or doing a good deed. Even in the camps, Frankl himself found a deep sense of purpose by using his skills. He organized a suicide prevention unit, counseling his fellow prisoners. He gave his work to others. The second path is experiential values. This is about what we take from the world, finding meaning in moments of beauty or goodness or love. Frankl talks about prisoners running out of their freezing huts just to see a beautiful sunset. For Frankl personally, he found meaning by holding on to the image of his wife in his mind, realizing that love was a powerful reason to keep going. And that brings us to the third path, and in a lot of ways, it's the most powerful one of all, attitudinal values. This is the meaning we can find when we literally cannot change our fate. When we can't create anything or experience anything good, we still have the freedom to choose our attitude towards our suffering. Those men giving away their very last piece of bread, they proved that even when everything is taken from you, your freedom to choose how you respond, that remains.
So how do all these profound ideas actually translate into practice? I mean, Frankl's philosophy isn't just about surviving the worst, it's also a therapeutic toolkit for helping people deal with all sorts of psychological challenges.
Logotherapy has three main techniques. You've got de-reflection, which helps you shift your focus away from a problem. Then there's this really interesting one called paradoxical intention, which uses humor to face a fear. And finally, Socratic dialogue, which is all about helping a person discover their own unique meaning. All right, first up is de-reflection. The basic idea here is to get you to stop obsessing over your own problems. It's about breaking that cycle of just thinking about yourself and your issues over and over again, and instead focusing on something or someone outside of yourself. A perfect example of this is insomnia. You know how it is, right? The harder you try to fall asleep, the more wide awake you feel. De-reflection suggests you do the opposite. Stop trying, pick up a book, get lost in the story, and often sleep will just kind of sneak up on you as a side effect. Okay, the second technique is called paradoxical intention, and this one is fascinating. It's an approach that uses your sense of humor to basically diffuse your anxiety. The idea is to have you intentionally try to make your biggest fear happen. I know, it sounds crazy. So imagine someone is terrified of public speaking because they're afraid their heart will start racing. The therapist might actually tell them, okay, get up there on stage and try to make your heart pound as fast as it possibly can. Show this audience what a real panic attack looks like. By trying to force the symptom, the person creates a little distance from the fear, and its power just evaporates. So after Frankl was liberated back in 1945, he dedicated the rest of his life to practicing and teaching logotherapy. He made sure that the insights he gained from the darkness would become a source of light for millions of people. And just get a load of this number. His most famous book, Man's Search for Meaning, has sold over 12 million copies around the world. It's been translated into more than 50 languages, which is just a huge testament to how much this message about finding meaning really resonates with all of us. And he left us with this really profound concept: tragic optimism. Now, this isn't some naive, everything's great kind of optimism. It's an optimism you can have in the face of life's tragic trio: pain, guilt, and death. It's the belief that we have the power to wring meaning out of these unavoidable parts of being human and turn them into something worthwhile. So, we'll end by turning one of Frankl's central ideas back around on you. He argued that we've got it all wrong. The question isn't, what is the meaning of my life? He said no. Life is constantly posing that question to us. Through all our challenges, our relationships, our circumstances, life is asking what we're going to do. The responsibility to answer that question, well, that rests with each of us every single day.